Hello, pig. Let's see. There we are. It's another evening, another hour. I should get more water, but I'll probably get some water in a bit. But today, let's see. I will try to get this somewhat working. I'm not sure how. Hello, Peppa Pig. always. Honestly, I'm not really sure always where this is going, but I think the idea is good. I just don't know how to piece it together yet. But I will get there. I mean, has to. That with torch Peppa Pig. What? But let's see. I went through all of this. Except that I have a slight different setup, but that's okay. Spawning food. We're spawning food into the map. The first thing we need to do is create a new special introducer called introducer. But I think I already got this thing. I got this thing. And then I think I got, did I spawn food? Let's see, how far did I get on that? Spawn food, yeah. I think we can take at least this thing with us over there. And I prefer to have it. Oh no! I took it from the wrong side. Well, that's just while I'm at it. So we have the init. We have the reducer client connected. Reducer enter game. I don't have an enter. Wait, where's the spawn food? That's what I'm trying to find. Spawn food here. This is what we got. And then this one, spawn food timer. Permits the table macro. This tells space on that the row in the table is specific a schedule for when the spawn food should be called. Each scheduled table requires schedule ID and the schedule at field so that the spacer can call your reducer. However, you can also add your own fields to these values as well. But see, I need to go. Alright, see ya, pig. You can create, delete, or change schedule by inserting, deleting, or updating rows in this table. You will see an error telling you that spawn food reducer needs to take 2 arguments, but currently only takes 1. This is because the schedule now row must be passed into all schedule reducers. Modify your spawn food reducer to take a schedule row and an argument. Spawn food. Well, I didn't get any errors, but let's see. Just need to change this. Like so. And then we continue. Should they now row name the argument to do? Let's modify the init reducer schedule spawn food. Reducer we call every 5 milliseconds. So in the init, I think. Wait. Where do I have the init, bruh? I should have an init somewhere. I don't? Well, that's a... Oh, wait. Well, it's okay. They show the whole thing anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Vive CTF. Hey, yo, bro. What's up? Oh, Vivek CTF. Did you capture the flags? Let's see, I think... I'll do this. Oh good, oh good. I haven't done any CTFs really. Okay. No, I have plenty of friends who do CTFs and it looks really fun, but not ideally the thing I would do. I like to create stuff that I somewhat use. Well, that's actually not true. Well, the only thing that I created that I use right now is this stream overlay that is going on on the stream. And I guess the Discord bot, but not that widely using it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But I think what I'm developing right now I will start using a lot more frequent, except for the web development stuff. I don't know, I don't like it, but it's my first approach to making it multiplayer, so I think it's still okay-ish. We'll see how I do it in the future, but right now it's just a first attempt and you have to start somewhere, and through web seems easiest for some reason. Probably not, because I have to do WebAssembly. Minecraft sound, yes. Damn. Damn? What do you mean damn? But it's okay. I learn a little bit more of everything and it's fine. Sometime down the line everything will just click. Right now I'm just like, I don't know, but I'm trying to do something. So wait, this is gonna be called on init, and it's gonna say that, and then it's gonna try to insert a world. Yo, what's up, Nay? And then it's gonna activate this spawn food timer. It's gonna insert this schedule, and then it's the interval. Alright. You can use schedule at time in to schedule a reducer call at interval like we're doing here. Spacetime will continue to call the reducer at this interval until you remove the row. You can also use schedule time to specify a specific at which call the reducer. Once spacetime will remove that row automatically after that reducer has been called. That's quite interesting, these things. And it's also like, it's kind of like the database is the server, which is, I mean, it makes sense, but it's like, especially when it's also Rust, I have to think about a little bit more things, but it's okay. It's okay. I hope they make a SIG binding, or at least a C binding would be nice. Why is my Twitch just telling me that I'm going live every 5 minutes? I'm like, I was live once. Anyways, logging players in. Let's continue building out our server module by modifying to log in a player when they connect to this database, or to create a new player if they never connected before. Let's add a second player to our player struct. Modify the player struct, adding this above struct. Right, but I have just been using this. I should probably get rid of it for now, because I literally just need... Modify the player struct by adding struct above. Wait, what? The struct should look like... So, wait, can you create... Yeah, I'm kind of making like a web games, so I mean, I think we can still start this and it won't have any specific issues. I hope not. We'll see. Worst case scenario, it will crash, right? So if I go to this and then start, let's see, hopefully we won't have any problems. Run source, like so. So the idea, oops, for real, I think, is this. So you have here where you can just log in and you can change your name and it will update and whatever. But you're supposed to be able to play this game, which is right now it's not much of a game. Yeah, I'm on Arch Linux. This is the idea. And then I guess I can also show it has also a very cool let's see. Like if you don't run it through web, because then we run it on a separate platform, which is better in my opinion. Zig build run should run here. So if I run it through here, then we are not using the web, then we are instead just using Zig. And the Zig has its own like platform where we run the same game. Wow, that's a lot of speed. Oh yeah, right. And the thing with this one is that we can do CD project, YouTube Zig build dash watch. No, dash watch. Is it dash watch or is it just dash watch? Okay. So we can go into the game here. This is gonna be the same thing on the web, but for now we're not using the web. So you can see I'm quite fast. I don't know if you see that yellow dot. I hope. I'm gonna put it a little bit downwards here. You know, I'm quite fast when I move. But I can edit the code, save it. And now you can see I move a lot slower. So I can edit the code while the game is running. And then you can see in the bottom left corner it says playing. So I can start recording a gameplay and then put it on replay. So right now I'm not moving. So I have recorded the gameplay. And now I can see what would have happened if I went to the right at the same time I did my moves. So you can see I'm pressing down left. I'm going to the left. Which will help a lot in the debugging process. Well, obviously I'm not gonna push this kind of thing to the web, because the game is this is kind of like developer tools, which I want to use for developing the game. But for the web, we don't need, well, unless if the game was supposed to be a replayable game, then maybe, yes. But it's literally the same game that is being run on the web, except for this one uses WebAssembly and I don't have hot reloading enabled. So the idea is that you should be able to play the game, and while you're playing, I could just push a new update. That boy Ryan subscribed to the channel, thank you. The idea is that you should be casually be able to play the game, and at the same time I could just push a new WebAssembly to the web, or if it wasn't like a web, you could be literally in a match and you could just update the game code and boom, now there's a new enemy skeleton in the game, and now there's bows as well, you can shoot with bow and arrow, you know. As long as I don't change the actual structure of the game, like that everything that I just said should be possible, as long as this structure doesn't change its layout. Then everything I just said is gonna be possible. But if I do add some new stuff in here, then we're gonna start running into issues. But besides that, it should always be possible to just run the thing, change the code, and it should just continue doing its thing what it did before. I guess also input is kind of like, but besides that, and well, this only for now the concept only works with a pixel buffer array. So our red, green, blue alpha. But if we want to later integrate something like Vulkan. I'm not really sure. We have talked about it a little bit, but we are not entirely sure how, because it's kind of like we don't want the game, like, you see, this is like kind of like the game logic. We don't want the game to be aware about anything else except for a game, but when it comes to rendering, that becomes kind of like, where do you put the render? Maybe you could make it a module. Maybe that could work. Because it's hard, but I think that's a future problem. Right now we're not too concerned about utilizing the graphics card and making 3D rendering. Like, we're more concerned about just making this work at all. And yeah, as I said, I'm trying to do multiplayer in quite a not traditional way. I think it's quite different. I don't know, maybe I have never done multiplayer before, so I don't know even if it's, I don't think this is how you normally do multiplayer. This is a bit different. I'm literally using a database as the multiplayer like server rather than having a server application running. Well, I guess database server is still a database is still like a application in some way. But it's just experimenting things. Yeah, and I can just stop and continue playing this thing if I want to. Anyways, that's how far we have gotten with this whole thing, so yeah. I'm just gonna put these ones away in case somebody else comes and joins. But yeah, and it's web development right now, kind of, and Rust server database development on the, even though it's supposed to be SIG, this whole project is supposed to be SIG programming, but I guess I have to sacrifice a little bit so we can get this. Later on we can change these things. Hopefully they will make a SIG binding. Or a C binding, because if they do a C binding, then it's quite easy to use the C library and call the C functions. That works too. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, I was confused. There I was. This thing. But that looks exactly as it's supposed to look like. This line creates an additional table called logged out players. Oh, that's just a name. Whose rows share the same player type as the player table. You're learning ASIO? What is ASIO? Is it like a programming or driver? Audio stream input output. A computer audio interface driver protocol for digital audio by Steinberg, providing high data throughput synchronization and low latency between software application and computers. Oh wait, I think I have. Where have I read this before? I think it was when I did something with voice meters back on. I'm not sure, but it looks very something familiar to that. Low-level I/O programming that provides consistency and using modern sequences. Huh. So you have sockets. Yeah, well, I guess that makes sense. Oh god. They have this syntax. Oh my god. What was this example? Mutual exclusion. Let's see. Echo server, that sounds interesting. C++ just it's very interesting syntax. I usually just get lost when I try to read the C++ syntax. I prefer C or Zig, but I'm not saying that like C++ is still really like you can still get a lot implemented with that. But Jesus, operation overloading, everything like whoa. It's the ghost. Yeah. Important. Note that this new table is not marked public. This means that it can only be accessed by database owner, which is almost always the database creator. In order to prevent any unintended data access, all space-time tables are private by default. If your client isn't syncing rows from the server, check that your table is not accidentally marked private. Okay, that's a good thing to know. Next, modify the connect reducer and add a new disconnect reducer below. I think I have still the old connect. I didn't add any of the new connects because I wasn't concerned about it because... yeah, these are my old. But now I think I might switch completely just to the... should I maybe just completely switch to the you be in the game rather than having a... But how... well, I guess this tutorial would go through how to do it, so I could just get rid of all of the things called user, right? Like I could literally just go... let's see... I'm not gonna be concerned about anything that has to do with user. I'm just gonna say bye. And then I'm gonna see, I should have something... right, now I see that there's gonna be some funny issues, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm not concerned about those issues either way. They can go away. And we can get rid of all of these. We are not gonna be concerned about those. Instead, we're just gonna implement these ones. And they should be fine. I'm just gonna take this and then insert. So when you connect, player logged out player, why would you if then it takes the logged out player, so we store information about the player, and then otherwise we insert a new player. Okay, I see. And then in a disconnect, player, and then we say player ID and logged out, and then we delete, so it swaps. Okay. Now when a client connects, if the player corresponding to the client is in the logged out player table, we will move the player into the player table, thus indicating they are logged in and connected. For any new unrecognized client connects, we will create the player and insert it into the player table. When a player connects, we will transfer their player row from the player table to the logged out player table to indicate they are offline. Note that we could have added a logged in boolean to the player type to indicate whether the player is logged in. There's nothing incorrect about that approach, however, for several reasons we recommend this two-table approach. I guess it's kind of, if you just want to filter through every online player, it's easier to just have one table that contains all of the online players, and then if you want to use the offline, it's the same. Rather than filtering through with bool. Well, database is pretty good at doing queries, but whatever. We can iterate overall. Okay, now it explains it. If statement of branches. The player type now uses less program memory, improving the cache efficiency. We can easily check whether a player is logged in based on whether the row exists in the player table. This approach is more generally referred to the existence-based processing, and it is a common technique in data-oriented design. That's pretty sexy. That's what I like to hear. It has been a great day today. I just had a good chest and back day at the gym, and then I checked my body weight. I haven't checked in months. And then I was happy to see that I have increased by 3 kilos. I was like, wow! Hopefully that's muscle mass and not fat. Spawning player circles. Now that we got our food spawning and our player setup, let's create a match and spawn player circles entities into it. The first thing we should do before spawning a player into the match is give them a name. What if I don't? What if I want to call them no name? Adding the following to the bottom of the file. Okay, enter game. Whoa, that's a lot of stuff. Let's see. What are we adding? We are adding a player mass, and then we enter the game. Let's do. Oh wow, that's pretty good actually. Can I do? Okay. Let's see. With the reducer name string, info creating player with name, and then mutable player find, and then straight find the sender. Oh, okay, or player ID, and then the player name is this player update, so it's updates, and then spawn player initial circle. So it just basically enters the game and updates the player with the name that is provided over here. Okay, and then spawn player initial circle. Let's take the player ID, provided here, and then a range in the world. Takes this, find, okay, config not found, world size, it finds the world, and then start radius, max radius, player mass. Okay, and then get gen range. Well, this is completely incompatible with the world size that I actually got, but it doesn't matter because it will probably crash, and I will fix it then. But before then, I don't really care. Spawn circle at, so it spawns player initial circle. Then here we have context. It takes in the context player ID, spawn mass, the position, and timestamp. Why am I concerned about the timestamp? Entity. It inserts a new entity with an ID, position, and mass. Circle try insert. Okay. I mean, interesting. This is the only thing I don't really like. That there's a. This is so weird. There's like a entity, there's circle. But it's not gonna be perfect, it's gonna be running, that's the point. The enter game reducer takes one argument, the player name. We can use this name to display a label for the player in the match. By storing the name on the player row, we are also spawning some circles for the player to control. Now they are entering the game. To do this, we choose a random position within the bounds of the arena, and they create a new entity corresponding to the circle row. Let's modify our disconnect reducer to remove circles from the arena when the player disconnects from the database server. I'm just gonna take this and just go to the disconnect. Replace that, boom. For each circle. So wait, one player can have multiple circles? That's crazy. Anyways, finally publish the new module to space on this command. Deleting the data is optional in this case, but in case you've been messing around with the module, we just start fresh. Yes, I will probably do that. Creating the arena. Now that we've set up our server logics to spawn food and player, let's continue developing our Unity client display. So we'll start by adding set up arena, create border queue methods to your game manager. I will probably have to do something like this, but adapting it for the shit that I'm about to make. Haha, that's gonna be funny. Because I don't know shit about web development. Oh my god, this is gonna be so fun. Alright. Set up arena. Let's see, what do they create? A border cube. Oh, they just create. I don't really need to do that. Like, why? Create border cube. Wait, what? Set up arena? Well, it would. This is just a function. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't even care about that. I'm not gonna do that. That's not that fancy. In your handle subscription applied, let now call setup arena method modify your handle subscription. Let's see what else happens here. It just connection config ID find the world size, and then just as the world size, and then here they set up the arena. The funny thing is that it's the game for me that decides the arena size, not the other way around. Well, I guess I could create a init function for the game, which is just takes in the size you want for the game. Which actually might not be a bad idea if you wanted to run multiple games. But yeah, nah. For now, we're just gonna hardcode it and let it be 400 by 400 because for some reason WebAssembly just fucks me in the ass if I go above. Was it how many pages? 16 pages of memory. One page is 65 kilobytes, so ish. And if I go above the 16, the whole memory layout just breaks. There's a weird like segment. I don't know how to fix it. I've tried moving where the stack pointer starts and everything, but it doesn't seem to be working, so fuck that. I'm not too concerned about these things. I don't think they are quite relevant. The only thing is relevant is player join. And how do I store players? I need to think about that still. But the unapplied callback will be called after the server synchronizes the initial state of your tables with your client. Once the sync has happened, we can look for the world size, config table, blah blah blah. In the scene view, select game manager object, click on the don't care, creating game objects. Now that we have our arena all set up, we need to take the raw data space-time sync with our client and use it to create draw game objects on the screen. I'm gonna go grab some more water, BRB real quick. Alright, I'm back. Wait, what? So quiet today. Usually I have like at least one in a call with me, but no one is joining today. Kinda sad. Has my Discord frozen? Okay, my Discord has frozen crazy. Do I have a... Here. Let's see. I need to -9. Well, I will just be chilling there. Let's see, where was it? Let's see, we have arena I'll set up, take data space sync for different clients and use it to create new, take the raw data that space.db syncs with our client and use it to create and draw objects on the screen. Let's start by making some controller script for each of the game objects we would like to have in our scene. In the project window, right click, player controller, CS, repeat the process, circle controller and food controller. We will modify the content of these files later. Why would I want a controller for the food? and a circle. Not really sure. Now let's make some prefabs for our game objects. In the scene hierarchy window, create a new game object. Let's see, rename the new game object in this scene to circle prefab. Next in the inspector window, click. Well, I know this is Unity specific, but I still want to read it just to see that how do they connect, because I have a different way to go about it probably. New game object in the scene circle prefab. Next in the inspector. Component button and add the circle controller. Script component that we just created. Drag the object into the player. Add a project folder. Once the prefab file is created, delete the circle prefab object from the scene. Use this prefab to draw a circle that player controls. Next, repeat the same process for food prefab and food controller component. In project view, double click the circle prefab to bring it up in the scene view. Right click anywhere in the hierarchy and navigate to. Okay, this will add a label circle prefab. You might. Is this gonna be the name for the thing? You may need to import into Unity in order to text mesh element. Your log will say import if the work for click. Now don't forget to set the transform position. Finally, we need to make the player pref hierarchy window, create a new game object, right click and select. Rename the game object player prefab. Next to inspect window, click add component button and add the player controller script component that we just created. Next, drag the object into the project folder once the prefab created, blah blah blah. Entity controller. Let's also create an entity control script which will serve as the base class for both our circle controller and food controller classes, since both circle and food are entities. Create a new file called entity control and replace it with this content. Let's see, what do they have? They have a, let's see, lerp, shader, don't care about that. Entity ID, this might be important. Lerp time. There's a spawn that calls game manager entity ID find. And then set color. What manages the connection? Lerp. Master scale on delete. Update. There is nothing really that's master scale. The data controller script just provides some helper functions and basic functionality to manage our game object based on entity updates. One notable feature is that we linearly interpret lerp between the position where the server says the entity is and where we actually draw it. This is a common technique which provides for smoother movement. If you're interested in learning more, check out this demo from. That's actually quite interesting. At this point you will have a compilation error because we can't it convert from. To fix this, let's also create a new extension. Okay, let's see, what is this? This is actually let's take it to there. Where the fuck did it go? Oh, wait, do I only have... I should be able to take it to here, yeah. Fast-paced multiplayer sample code. Let's see. I have to learn everything about multiplayer, right? It's a sample implementation of a client-server architecture, demonstrating the main concept of explanation by fast-paced multiplayer series of article. Won't sense unless you have read this article first. Brah! Have to jump from article to article. I'm just gonna share this with my friend real quick. Hey mate, do you have GitHub and do you upload games source code there? Devix Styler, yeah I do. It's not really a readable project, so, but yeah. Wait, that's not where I wanted to go. How do I just view all my repos? Why does it say TypeScript mainly? Please don't tell me it has. Oh, God, how could this happen? Anyways, that's the case for now. It's supposed to be primarily Zig, but we need web, so this is not quite readable code, but it's there. You should be fine just worrying about the source folder. This is if you're interested in the whole database stuff and the web development shit. So yeah, I don't think you need to be concerned about any of depending on what you're interested in, right? Let's see. I want to read this thing. This is the first of article exploring the techniques and the algorithms that makes fast-paced multiplayer games possible. If you're familiar with the concept behind multiplayer games, you can safely skip to the next article. What follows is an introduction discussion. Development of any kind of game is exceptional. Multiplayer games, however, add a complexity and new set of problems to deal with. Interestingly enough, the core problems are human nature and physics. Sure. The problem of cheating. Well, cheating I'm not too concerned about because I don't make that good games that people would like to cheating. It all starts with cheating. As a game developer, you usually don't care whether a player cheats in your single player game. Their actions don't affect anyone but him. A cheating player may not experience the game exactly as you plan, but since it's their game, they have the right to play it in any way they please. Multiplayer player games are different though. In any competitive game, a cheating player isn't just making the experience better for themselves, they're also making the experience worse for the other player. As a developer, you probably want to avoid that since it tends to drive the players away from your game. There are many things that can be done to prevent cheating, but the most important one, and probably the only really meaningful one, is simple. Don't trust the player. Oh, always assume the worst. The player will try to cheat. These cheaters, they always cheat. You know, normal people cheat on them in relationships. I have players cheats in my game. Okay, let's see. Authoritative servers and dumb clients. Tao Studios, hello. What are you looking for at the moment? I'm just looking to learn. I'm not looking for anything else really. Just trying to make multiplayer. Yeah. This leads to a seemingly simple solution. You make everything in your game happen in a central server under your control and make the client just privileged spectators of the game. In other words, your game client sends input key press commands to the server runs the game, and you send the result back to the clients. This is usually called using a authoritative server because the one and only authority regarding everything that happens in the world is the server. I mean, could we switch it? Let's see. Of course, your server can be exploited for vulnerabilities, but that's out of the scope for this series of articles. Using an authoritative server does prevent a wide range of attacks. Though, for example, you don't trust the client with the health of the player. A hacked client can modify its local copy of the value and tell the player it has 10,000% health, but the server knows it only has 10%. When the player is attacked, it will die, regardless of what hacked client may think. So what solution for multiplayer are you gonna make? We are following this Spacetime DB, so a database that is basically meant for massive multiplayer role-playing games, but we're gonna use this one. I'm just curious. I'm looking for my other screen with Fusion for Unity. I was just ah, I'm not doing in Unity. I'm doing I don't know. Is Fusion just Unity or? It is the entities thingy. I have Fusion's Photon Fusion setting the multiplayer game. Huh. Oh wait, but Photon I've heard about before. Quite a lot actually. I remember, wait. I can't spell. Photon versus DB. GOP, yes. Let's see if you can give me a photos with also multiplayer state synchronization, but they come from pretty different philosophies and stacks. Photon focus real-time multiplayer engine and networking framework. Approach acts as a dedicated networking layer as the server uses FPS co-op casual data use and receive events and RPC state synchronizations is up to you, though Photon has tools for it. Pros mature battle-tested, handle lag latency well, big ecosystem, photo fusion, quantum pun. Cons, proprietary closed source requires Photon cloud or self-hosting license. Focus multiplayer through a database first approach. Okay, yeah. Approach the game state is the database. Client queries subscribes to changes you write logic in Rust compiled to WASM that runs in the database itself. Uses case large-scale multiplayer worlds, persistent game like MMO Lite or Agario style. Data model, think SQL tables for game entities, changes automatically sync to the client. Open source scale horizontally eliminates boilerplate networking code, queries subscribe. This is all AI generated response, by the way, just to clarify, but I think it's still pretty accurate. Cons, never less proven, steeper learning curve if you're used to traditional networking ecosystems. I have never done networking before, so I don't think it's a con for me, right? Quick comparison. If you want to plug and play real-time networking framework for classic multiplayer game, Photon. If you want to build a persistent multiplayer world where the DB is the game state and are okay with the Rust wasm space-time DB, yes. I'm not really... Well, I haven't used Rust that much before, and it's also my first time, so it's fine. Once early, I want to something. How the fuck do you know about this? But yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, we are making using Zig, so this is and trailing for the moment. I would still like to switch to Vulkan, but I guess it makes sense that we are not doing Vulkan yet because we still need to just make simple stuff work first, and then we can try to make some cool shit. Well, Well, if you're an absolute beginner, I would suggest Unity to build solution. Well, you see, I'm not that kind of guy who likes to take the easy route. I always take the route that goes most in depth. Like, with Vulkan, I didn't learn OpenGL before Vulkan or any. I had no clue about graphics programming. I had no idea about mathematics. Like, I sucked at that. The only thing I could do was program in C. So I guess I had that advantage, but I went straight for Vulkan. And I liked it. Because it went in depth about everything. And I kind of think about the same thing here. It's really nice just to go more in depth on everything. Even though OpenGL would have been a better abstraction or surface level in trying to understand everything, but it was also like Vulkan was an option, so it was like, I'm just gonna do Vulkan, you know? Yeah, I was reading this one. But thank you still though. I've heard like a lot about Foden and Fusion actually, while being active socially in the gaming industry. Talking on in events and stuff, so then people spoke a lot about it. You do, since Fusion provides solution for all the networking problems, it's easier, not deeper in any ways, I believe. Yeah, I think you're right there. There's definitely a lot more if you need help. But it's also, I don't know, I like to experiment. I always enjoy it. Like, even though there's not as much help, it's still like, it's how do I put it? It's an interesting approach you have to take to things when there isn't really that many people that can directly have a straight answer to you. You're kind of like, you're one of the first people who run into the issue and you're like, yes, you better solve it. Fuck. And it just forces you to think a little bit deeper always. And well, it takes more time, but it's also like a little bit interesting, I feel. Yeah. But yeah, I get it. Let's see. This leads to seemingly server and the climb. This leads to seemingly simple solution. You make everything in your game. Yes, that I read. Of course, the server can be exploited, but that's out of the scope. Yes. You also don't trust the player with the position in the world. If you did, a hack client would tell the server that I'm at 1010 and then a second later at 2010, possibly going through a wall or moving faster than the other player. Instead, the server knows the players is at 1010. The client tells the server, I want to move one square to the right. The server updates its internal state with the player position at 1110 and then replies to the player, you're at 1011. So this would mean actually, like, I think it might be smarter to move the game logic to the server and then have the... Fuck, this is gonna be weird. The player inputs on the client, right? Well, according to this article. And then you would still have the draw call or the drawing also on the client. But it's also like, do you want everything on the server? It's a little bit, yo, what's up, T-Chef? It's a little bit... To this. I'm gonna send this also to my friend. Sort of always.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you gonna stream?
Yeah, wait. I'm just sending a message to Hans.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna put... There now, I should be live also on the Discord. Let's see,
Yes.
what else? I want to update the new player positions and then replies to the player you're at. Alright. In summary, the game state is managed by the server alone. Clients send their actions to the server updates the game state periodically and then sends the new game state back to the client, who just render it on the screen. That kind of makes sense, you know, if I take this and then I move over to here. Let's see. And close this, close that, keep that one open. Right, wait, when do I need to wake up tomorrow morning? Okay. I don't know, my Twitch is going crazy, I don't know, it's every 5 minutes it just resets my stream. I don't know what's up with that, but it's going crazy. Even though it says on OBS that I have been streaming to Twitch for 58 minutes, so it's kind of like, I don't know, why am I so fast? Like, Jesus Christ, I'm reconnecting fast to mirror right now. It's like, boom, super speed. Then let's look at that connection restore, like I'm connecting so fast. Wow!
Bro's internet got upgraded.
Yeah. I just want to think about what I'm reading, bruh. This is some crazy internet speed right now. For real, holy shit. It's like so fast that for real, can I not just connect to Miro? Do I have Miro here? Let's see, that's all of these are the same link. I don't seem to be able to connect. BitConnect. Why is that in my mind? Oh, for real, come on. Okay, whatever. I will figure it. I will do it another way. How? I don't know. Fuck it. I would really like to sketch this. Fuck. Okay, whatever. I don't care. So this is fine to just have on the client side, but then the client wouldn't even run a update, maybe? The client would only send to the server that, hey yo, me would like move, and then the server would process all of the inputs,
Hey yo, yes.
and then send what actually happened. But then again, you also kind of want, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fine, you know, you send a request that wants to move, the server updates all of the information, but then we wouldn't follow the same structure. That's also the kind of yikes things, is that I would like to still continue with this whole setup, but now it's kind of starting to break down, which is, I don't know how to think about it. Ah! It's connected, not here, and not here, but here it's connected. Fantastic. So if I put this one here, boom. Let's see, where do I have? What the fuck? Since when did this come here? What the fuck? Who put it there? I didn't put it there. Somehow it has. I don't know how we got it. Okay, crazy. Anyways, So we have the client. It would send input. The server sends back the new state. But I don't know. We don't want to keep track of the whole state. We don't want to send the whole state of the game back. We would just like to send the information that is. Well, with the Spaceline DB, you can subscribe to specific calls and get notified on things that you need to know, like let's say players' positions. So it's really nice in that case, I think. And then you wouldn't even get notified on players' positions, that players that are like too far away for you even to see them. Unless if you ask for their position somehow, I guess you could be. But, Okay. Dealing with networks. The DOM client scheme works fine for slow turn-based games, for example strategy games or poker. It would also work in a LAN setting where communications are for all practical purposes instantaneous, but this breaks down when you use for fast-paced games over a network such as internet. Let's talk physics. Suppose you're in San Francisco connected to a server in New York. That's approximately 4,000 kilometers or 2,500 miles. That's roughly the distance between Lisbon and Moscow. Really? Okay. Nothing can travel faster than light, not even bytes on the internet, which at the lower level of pulse of light, electrons in the cable, electromagnetic waves, light travels at approximately 300,000 kilometers.
You're trying to do networking, not study cables.
So it takes 13 milliseconds to travel 4,000 kilometers. This may sound quite fast, but it's actually a very optimistic setup. It assumes data travels at the speed of light in a straight path, which is most likely not the case. In real life, data goes through a series of jumps, called hops in networking terminology. From the router to router, most of which aren't done at light speed. Routers themselves introduce a bit of delay, and since packets must be copied, inspected and rerouted. For the sake of the argument, let's assume data takes 50 milliseconds from client to server. This is close to the best case scenario. What happens if you're in New York connected to a server in Tokyo? What if this network congestion for some reason? Delays of 100, 200, even 500 milliseconds are not unheard of. Back to our example, your client sends some input to the server. I press the right arrow. The server gets it 50 milliseconds later. Let's say the server processes the request and sends it back and updates state immediately. Your client gets the new game state. You are now at 1.0 50 milliseconds later. Isn't that a total of 100? From your point of view, what happened is that you pressed the right arrow but nothing happened for a tenth of a second. Then your character finally moved one square to the right. This perceived lag between your input and its consequences may not sound like much, but it's noticeable. And of course, a lag of half a second isn't just noticeable, it actually makes the game unplayable. Summary: multiplayer games are incredibly fun, but introduce a whole new class of challenges. The authoritative server architecture is pretty good at stopping most cheats, but a straightforward implementation may make games quite unresponsive to the player. In the following articles, we will explore how can we build a system based on an authoritative server while minimizing delay experienced by the player to the point of making almost indistinguishable from local or single player games. Damn. This is actually a really interesting article, but do they want me to read the whole series of article? Won't make much sense unless you read the articles first. Damn, seems like this is actually what we'll be reading. This is interesting. I think I will just change my whole... We are just focusing a lot of on multiplayer right now, aren't we? Let's see, but I have... Well, not too early of a meeting tomorrow at it's just 8 AM, but I think I might still I still wanna go so I can actually just prepare for it and shit. And shit. Yeah, I also need to shit. I don't even think there's many people watching still though. So that's 3 people. Holy shit, that's a lot of people. Yeah. Damn. Wow. I'm still gonna go. I think this will be the focus. This is a really good article actually. I like it. Even though it's not directly with just implementing all of the stuff, but I think it still like gives a way clearer picture of how things maybe should be connected and could be working, and it will help me also organize this shit, and maybe start thinking about it. It's a really good article. All right, but I think that will be it. As always, 1 hour is not much, but it's something, and it's always a little bit more clarity of the thing. All right, that will be, sadly, but I swear, it will be more as soon as I get my math and physics in order, and maybe university 2 becomes easier. Then I don't know. All right, good night, everybody, and or for me it's night. And I will see you tomorrow again, another hour. Maybe we'll stretch it too, because this article will be maybe good. Alright, bye bye.